Before you spend that dime, check the date. Some 1966, 1976, 2006, and 2012 dimes are highly valuable due to rare varieties, mistakes, and pristine conditions. You could be holding a hidden treasure in your change. The 1966 US 1 dime may seem like a simple everyday coin, the kind that has passed through countless hands for decades. It's small, light, and often overlooked in the shuffle of change. But for those who know the world of numismatics, the year 1966 carries a fascinating story. Within the ocean of dimes minted that year, a few errors slipped through that would later turn ordinary coins into treasures worth far beyond their face value. And when I say treasures, I'm talking about pieces so rare that collectors have paid extraordinary amounts, with some examples of the 1966 dime fetching between $60,000 and $138,000 depending on the type of error and the condition of the coin. This is the kind of story that makes you want to check every single coin in your pocket, because the possibility of striking it rich is very real. To understand the significance of the 1966 dime, let's step back to what was happening in the United States during that period. The country had just come out of a coinage crisis in the mid-1960s. Silver, once a standard in US dimes, quarters, and half dollars, had become too expensive to continue using widely. By 1965, the mint officially removed silver from dimes and quarters, switching instead to a clad composition of copper and nickel. The 1966 dime, part of the Roosevelt dime series, was only the second full year of this new clad coinage. That shift was monumental, marking a new era for US currency. But change also brings adjustment, and when billions of coins are being produced at high speed, mistakes can and do happen. And it is those mistakes, those errors, that create coins collectors dream of finding. One of the most sought-after error types for the 1966 dime is the double die strike. This occurs when the die that imprints the design on the coin is struck more than once in slightly different positions, causing the lettering, numbers, or even Roosevelt's profile to appear doubled. Imagine looking at the word Liberty or the date 1966 and seeing a ghostly shadow of the letters or numbers repeated beside them. It may not sound like much, but collectors go wild for these doubling errors, especially when they are strong and visible without magnification. Such double-die 1966 dimes have been authenticated and valued at jaw-dropping amounts, with pristine examples selling for over $80,000 at auction. Another incredible error from 1966 involves off-center strikes. This is when the blank coin wasn't properly seated in the press before being struck, causing the design to appear partly cut off. The result is a dime with Roosevelt's portrait shifted to one side, sometimes leaving a crescent-shaped blank area where no design was struck. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin. If the coin still shows the date clearly while being dramatically off-center, it becomes extremely rare and desirable. Collectors have been known to bid fiercely for such coins, and a few of these 1966 off-center dimes have commanded over $60,000 to $100,000 when in high grade. Then there are the wrong planchet errors. These are among the most exciting and valuable mistakes, because they produce coins that look immediately unusual. A dime struck on a penny planchet will come out slightly larger, with a different color and weight than normal. Similarly, a dime struck on a foreign planchet intended for another country will have the Roosevelt design but an entirely different size or composition. Such errors are virtually one of a kind, and because they're so rare, they have sold for extraordinary amounts. A 1966 dime struck on a planchet intended for a cent, for example, has been documented selling well into six figures, with one piece fetching nearly $138,000. It's stories like these that make collectors keep searching, because the next life-changing discovery could be sitting in an old coin jar. Let's talk about real-world discoveries. There's a famous account of a man who inherited a shoebox full of coins from his grandfather. The coins had been sitting untouched since the 1960s. While going through them, he noticed a dime that looked slightly thinner and lighter than the rest. Intrigued, he brought it to a local coin shop. The dealer's eyes widened as he weighed the coin and realized it had been struck on a foreign planchet. After certification and auction, that 1966 dime sold for nearly $95,000. What's incredible is that the coin had been sitting in a box for decades, completely overlooked, until someone finally paid close attention. Another thrilling story involves a teenager who was just beginning to collect coins. While searching through a bag of coins from a bank, he spotted what looked like a misaligned Roosevelt dime. It turned out to be a spectacular off-center strike from 1966, and though worn, it was rare enough to be worth several $1,000s. While not the top range, even lower-end errors can provide significant returns, but when they're in excellent condition, we're talking about coins worth between $60,000 and $138,000. What makes the 1966 dime even more fascinating is the context of its production. During this period, mint marks were temporarily suspended to discourage coin hoarding. That means 1966 dimes don't carry a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, only the date. This adds a twist for collectors because any error discovered from 1966 can only be tied to the year itself, not a specific mint. That increases the mystique and desirability, since the only clue to its origin is the number 1966 stamped on its face. Collectors are drawn to these coins not just for their rarity and value but for the stories they tell. A 1966 dime is a snapshot of America's economy and culture in the mid-60s, a time of transition in currency as the nation moved away from silver. Errors from this year symbolize the challenges and imperfections of that transition, and owning one is like holding a piece of that history in your hand. Auction houses have seen dramatic bidding wars over these coins. Imagine a quiet room suddenly erupting into gasps as the auctioneer announces a 1966 dime error starting at $30,000. Hands go up, bids fly back and forth, and within minutes the price soars past $100,000. Finally, the hammer comes down at $126,000. Collectors celebrate not because of the face value of the coin, but because of its rarity, condition, and the story it carries. That's the kind of energy surrounding these 1966 dime errors. And this is where it gets exciting for you. While it may sound like the chances of finding one of these coins are slim, remember that these pieces continue to surface decades later. They are hiding in old rolls of coins, forgotten in jars, or resting in family collections. Many people don't even know they own something so valuable until someone points it out. And that's why coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters carefully examine every 1966 dime they come across. Because the reality is, one coin could change everything. Imagine this: you're sorting through a handful of coins, maybe after emptying out a drawer or while rolling change for the bank. You pick up a dime that looks slightly unusual. Maybe the portrait seems doubled, maybe the coin looks off-center, or maybe the color isn't quite right. That moment of curiosity could be the start of a discovery worth $60,000 to $138,000. And all because you took the time to notice what others might have ignored. The magic of numismatics lies in moments like these. A coin as ordinary as a dime suddenly transforms into a rare treasure. A piece of metal worth 10 cents on paper can command six figures in the real world, simply because of a mistake that happened more than half a century ago. The 1966 dime proves that even small, everyday objects can hold immense value, both in dollars and in history. So the next time you come across a dime from 1966, take a closer look. Check the details carefully. It may just be a regular coin, but it could also be a rare error waiting to reveal its story. And if you're lucky enough to find one of those spectacular errors, you won't just be holding 10 cents. You'll be holding a piece of history worth between $60,000 and $138,000. That's the kind of discovery that changes lives and keeps the spirit of treasure hunting alive in every coin enthusiast. Imagine holding a small silver-colored coin in your hand, one that looks just like millions of others from the mid-1970s. And yet this very coin carries a story so extraordinary that it could change your entire outlook on pocket change. We're talking about the 1976 U.S. one-dime coin error, a piece born in the year America celebrated its bicentennial, a time when patriotic pride swept across the nation. It was a year of commemorative quarters, half dollars, and dollars designed to honor 200 years of independence, but hidden in the midst of all the excitement, the everyday dime, so often overlooked, produced certain errors that turned a simple 10-cent coin into something worth more than most cars or even some houses. Imagine discovering that your 10 cents could actually be worth between $50,000 and $130,000. That's the kind of tale numismatics lives for, and it's why collectors search tirelessly for these rare pieces of history. To appreciate the full magnitude of the 1976 dime error, you need to first understand the context of that year. 1976 wasn't just any year for the U.S. Mint. It was a year of enormous production, with mints in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco working tirelessly to strike coins for both circulation and for collectors. The spotlight was on the bicentennial designs, the Drummer Boy Quarter, the Independence Hall half dollar, and the Liberty Bell and Moon dollar. But while attention swirled around those patriotic motifs, the standard coins, like the dime, quietly continued production. That's when errors slipped through. A combination of high-volume minting, equipment stress, and human oversight led to mistakes that today make the 1976 dime one of the most intriguing coins of its era. Collectors often talk about mint errors with the excitement of treasure hunters because every error has a story to tell. The 1976 dime is no exception. Some error examples include off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin wasn't perfectly aligned during minting. There are double strikes, where the coin gets struck more than once, leaving ghostly overlapping images of Roosevelt's profile. There are even planchet errors, where the metal blank itself is flawed before the design is even struck, creating a one-of-a-kind coin. Each of these variations adds rarity, and with rarity comes value. It's not hard to imagine why a collector, upon finding such a dime, would treat it as a prized possession. But let's pause and picture this. You're at a garage sale buying an old jar of coins someone's grandparents left behind. You pour them out onto a table, and among the nickels, pennies, and quarters sits a 1976 dime with an odd appearance. Maybe the words are slightly off-center, or Roosevelt's face looks doubled. It's a detail most people would overlook, but in reality, that tiny irregularity could be the key to a coin valued anywhere between $50,000 and $130,000. That thought alone is enough to make anyone reconsider tossing change into a tip jar without a second glance. Now, what drives such high valuations? It's a blend of history, rarity, and demand. History, because 1976 is forever tied to the bicentennial and collectors cherish coins from milestone years. Rarity, because only a fraction of coins struck contained errors that escaped detection. And demand, because once collectors realize a certain coin is rare, competition drives up the price dramatically. Auctions have proven time and again that when two or more determined collectors want the same rare coin, the value skyrockets far beyond what casual observers would believe possible. The 1976 dime, despite being just a dime, has managed to surprise even seasoned numismatists with its value potential. Think of it. A coin designed to be so common that you might find one in your pocket every day has, through error, become one of the most desirable collectible pieces. It's a paradox. The ordinary made extraordinary through imperfection. And there's something poetic about that. Consider also the design of the dime itself. Since 1946, the U.S. dime has carried the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, a president remembered for leading the nation through the Great Depression and World War II. By 1976, the Roosevelt dime was already 30 years old, but it remained a quiet workhorse in circulation. The error coins from that year, however, elevate it into a symbol of discovery, a reminder that even in the most routine objects, there may be hidden value. For collectors, it's not just about the monetary worth, though $50,000 to $130,000 is undeniably impressive. It's also about the thrill of owning a piece of history that almost shouldn't exist, a coin that tells a story no ordinary dime can. The stories of these coins emerging in auctions only fuel the fascination further. There have been accounts of 1976 dimes surfacing unexpectedly in small collections, only to stun experts when evaluated. Imagine the disbelief of someone who brings what they think is a minor curiosity to a coin dealer, only to hear that their little 10-cent piece might fund an entire college education or pay off a mortgage. That kind of shock is unforgettable, and it makes the chase for these error dimes irresistible. As with any rare coin, the condition matters immensely. Collectors prize coins in mint state, meaning they show little to no wear. A 1976 error dime that is both rare and in pristine condition could easily command prices at the higher end of that $50,000 to $130,000 range. But even those showing signs of circulation can be worth tens of thousands, which is remarkable for something most people would assume was worth 10 cents at most. It's a lesson in paying attention to detail and never underestimating the potential of small things. And here's the part that captivates casual viewers as much as seasoned collectors. You might have one of these coins right now without even realizing it. Dimes circulate for decades. Unlike larger commemorative coins that often sit in collections, dimes remain in jars, drawers, and cash registers. A 1976 dime error could be lying unnoticed in someone's desk or mixed into rolls of change at a bank. The possibility of discovering such value in everyday life is what makes stories like this so compelling. It's not just about numismatics. It's about the dream of unexpected fortune. As time passes, these coins only grow scarcer. Many are already in the hands of collectors, tucked away in protective cases, unlikely to return to circulation. That means the chances of stumbling upon one diminish with every passing year. But the allure remains because the possibility is never zero. Every coin jar, every handful of change could be hiding history worth $50,000 to $130,000. The 1976 US dime error stands as proof that value doesn't always come from perfection. Sometimes, it's the flaws, the mistakes, the deviations from the expected that create the most treasured and remarkable outcomes. In a way, it mirrors life itself. And that's why collectors will continue searching, why stories of incredible discoveries will continue to surface, and why the humble dime of 1976 has secured its place among the legends of numismatics. So the next time you hold a dime from 1976, don't just flip it carelessly into a vending machine or let it roll under your couch cushions. Look closely. Examine the details. That small disc of metal might just hold a story of error and rarity. A story worth more than you ever dreamed possible. It could be the very coin that turns your 10 cents into $50,000, or maybe even $130,000. And that's the thrill. The treasure could be right there in your hands, waiting to be discovered. When it comes to the fascinating world of rare coins, there are certain discoveries that leave collectors and treasure hunters completely astonished. It's not always the old coins from the 1800s or early 1900s that command attention. Sometimes it's the modern coins, the ones that seem ordinary and slip through millions of hands every day, that end up holding shocking secrets. One of those extraordinary surprises is the 2006 US 1 dime coin error, a small 10-cent piece that most people wouldn't even glance at twice. Yet hidden among the countless dimes minted that year, there are error coins so rare and valuable that they've sold for prices between $42,000 and $105,000 at auctions. Just imagine walking around with a dime in your pocket and having no idea that it's worth more than a luxury car or even enough to buy a small house. That's the kind of story that makes collectors' hearts race and turns ordinary people into passionate treasure hunters. To understand why the 2006 dime error is so special, it's important to step back and look at the coin itself. The US dime has a long and interesting history, but since 1946 it has carried the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse. The Roosevelt dime was introduced after President Roosevelt's death to honor his leadership, especially his efforts in creating the March of Dimes to combat polio. For decades, the design has remained relatively unchanged, making it one of the most familiar coins in American circulation. By 2006, dimes were being produced in huge numbers at multiple U.S. mint facilities, primarily made from a copper-nickel-clad composition. To most people, every dime looks exactly the same, but errors can happen, and when they do, they change everything. The 2006 dime is notorious among collectors because of a few specific minting errors that slip through. Errors like off-center strikes, broad strikes, and double die varieties are part of the intrigue, but some of the most jaw-dropping examples include dimes struck on the wrong planchet or with misaligned dies. Imagine finding a dime struck on a penny or nickel blank, the size and metal completely off, yet bearing Roosevelt's portrait and the dime's lettering. These dramatic errors are so visually unique that even non-collectors can spot them, and they immediately drive up value. It's these unusual mistakes that transform a coin from an everyday piece of change into a rare collectible worth tens of thousands. Collectors often say that the thrill of coin hunting lies in the unknown. You never know what might show up in a coin roll or in your pocket change, and that's exactly why the 2006 dime has created such buzz. There have been verified cases of 2006 dime errors being found in circulation, overlooked by countless people before finally landing in the hands of someone observant enough to realize they were holding something extraordinary. The difference between a dime worth 10 cents and one worth $42,000 to $105,000 is just a matter of noticing those tiny details. The misaligned letters, the off-center portrait, or the wrong metal composition. That's why collectors spend hours under magnifying glasses, carefully examining every coin they come across. The value of the 2006 dime era isn't just about rarity. It's also about condition. A coin that has been circulating heavily, scratched, or worn down will still hold value as an error, but not nearly as much as one in pristine, uncirculated condition. That's where professional grading comes into play. Once an error dime is authenticated and slabbed by a grading service, its value skyrockets, because collectors know they're looking at the real deal. Seeing a 2006 dime error graded in high mint state condition is enough to drive auction prices into that upper range of $105,000. This is why so many coin enthusiasts emphasize the importance of checking coins as soon as they're found, before they accumulate damage from years of circulation. One of the most exciting parts of the story is hearing about the moments when people discover coins like this by accident. A dime pulled from a grocery store cash register, set aside because it looked a little odd, later turned out to be a valuable error coin. Another was discovered in a bank roll purchased for face value, just 10 cents, and eventually authenticated and sold for tens of thousands. These real-life treasure hunts are what fuel the coin collecting community. They show that anyone, whether an experienced numismatist or a casual shopper, can stumble upon one of these hidden gems. And that possibility keeps people searching, keeps them hopeful, and keeps the excitement alive. When you think about it, there's something poetic about how such a small coin, often overlooked and even ignored, can hold such massive value. The dime is often thought of as insignificant, lost in couch cushions or dropped on sidewalks without much thought. But for those rare 2006 error dimes, their story is entirely different. They represent the fascinating unpredictability of minting, the human errors and machine mishaps that unintentionally created treasures. They also symbolize the importance of curiosity, the act of noticing something different, of paying closer attention. For collectors, that curiosity often pays off in more ways than one. It's also worth noting how strong the market for these coins continues to be. In numismatics, demand plays a huge role in determining value, and error coins have always attracted intense interest. The 2006 dime is no exception. Each time one of these error coins appears at auction, it sets off waves of excitement. Collectors know that opportunities to own one are incredibly rare, and they're willing to compete fiercely to secure it. This competition is what pushes prices higher and higher, keeping the range firmly between $42,000 and $105,000 depending on the exact type of error and the coin's condition. There's an undeniable element of suspense when it comes to error coins like this. How many are still out there, undiscovered? How many people have spent them without ever realizing their worth? How many are sitting in jars or tucked away in drawers, waiting for someone to take a second look? That sense of mystery adds to their allure. Each coin discovered is not just a piece of metal, but a story of oversight at the mint, of survival in circulation, and of eventual discovery by someone who happened to look just a little closer. The 2006 dime era reminds us that treasures don't always come in obvious forms. They don't always shine brightly or announce themselves with grandeur. Sometimes they hide in plain sight, in the smallest and simplest objects of everyday life. And that's what makes them so captivating. The idea that life-changing value could be hiding in your pocket change is something that sparks imagination and keeps people searching. It's not just about coins, it's about the thrill of discovery, the joy of collecting, and the wonder of possibility. So the next time you get change back from the store, don't just toss those dimes aside. Take a closer look, especially at the 2006 dimes. Look for anything unusual, off-center designs, strange colors, odd edges, or doubling in the lettering. You never know when you might be holding something that could change your life. A coin that looks like it's worth 10 cents could, in reality, be worth anywhere from $42,000 to $105,000. And that's the beauty of it. The ordinary can turn out to be extraordinary if you're paying attention. Imagine for a moment that you're holding a small, shiny dime in your hand. At first glance, it looks like any other coin that has passed through your pocket or wallet 100 times before. But what if I told you that this very dime, a 2012 US 1 dime coin with a rare error, could be worth an unbelievable fortune? Yes, some of these error dimes from 2012 have stunned collectors and enthusiasts alike with their staggering auction prices, ranging anywhere from $33,000 to as high as $92,000. Just let that sink in for a moment. What most people dismiss as spare change could secretly be holding enough value to pay off a car, fund college tuition, or even make a down payment on a house. This is the incredible world of numismatics, where the tiniest imperfections or quirks in a coin can transform it from ordinary to extraordinary. To understand why the 2012 dime-era coin is so highly sought after, you first have to consider how coins are made. Every coin goes through a carefully controlled minting process, where precision and consistency are paramount. But like any human-led process, mistakes sometimes happen. And when they do, those mistakes can create a numismatic gem. The 2012 dime errors are no exception. Whether it's a misalignment in the die, a double strike that produces a blurred or ghostly image, or even off-center strikes that shift the design dramatically, these unusual flaws turn what would have been an ordinary 10-cent piece into a collector's treasure. Now, some might ask, how does such a simple mistake transform into such enormous value? The answer lies in rarity and demand. Millions upon millions of dimes were minted in 2012, but only a handful carry the kinds of striking errors that catch the eyes of collectors. It's this rarity that fuels competition in auctions and private sales. Imagine dozens of passionate collectors, each eager to own a piece of history, bidding against one another. The excitement grows and the price skyrockets until one lucky individual walks away with the coin, sometimes paying as much as $92,000 for what was once just 10 cents in circulation. Picture this. Someone unknowingly using a 2012 dime error at the grocery store, slipping it into the self-checkout coin slot, completely unaware that they just gave away tens of thousands of dollars. Stories like these only add to the fascination. It's the idea that these treasures could still be out there, hidden in plain sight, sitting in jars of spare change, tucked into dresser drawers, or passed along as everyday currency. This possibility keeps collectors scanning every coin that passes through their hands, driven by the hope of discovering the next life-changing find. The 2012 dime error also represents something larger than just money. It symbolizes history, craftsmanship, and the quirks of human imperfection. Every error coin tells a story, not just of the minting process gone awry, but of the journey that coin has taken through countless hands before landing in a collector's display case. And the beauty of numismatics is that every coin, no matter how ordinary it seems, has the potential to carry an extraordinary story if you look closely enough. Collectors often talk about the thrill of the hunt. It's not just about owning a coin worth $33,000 to $92,000. It's about the excitement of searching, the rush of discovering something rare, and the pride of knowing you've uncovered a piece of history. Imagine the conversations sparked by such a find. Did you know this little dime once sold for the price of a luxury car? It's the kind of story that captivates friends, family, and even strangers, leaving them in awe of the hidden value within something as simple as a coin. But let's also consider the flip side. Not every error coin is instantly recognized. Many are overlooked, mistaken for damage or wear, and passed along without a second thought. That's why education is so important in the world of collecting. Knowing what to look for, those subtle misprints, die cracks, off-center strikes, can mean the difference between pocket change and a life-changing discovery. For those in the know, a keen eye and a bit of patience can yield unimaginable rewards. The 2012 dime error has carved out a special place in the hearts of numismatists, not just because of its rarity, but because of the drama that surrounds its existence. It's a perfect blend of mystery and opportunity. Was this coin a product of sheer accident? Or did something unusual happen during the minting year that led to more errors than usual? These unanswered questions add to the aura of the coin, making it even more appealing to those who collect not just for value, but for the stories behind the metal. Now think about the symbolism of a dime. Just 10 cents, a small coin that most people would rather forget about than examine closely. Yet, within that tiny circle of metal lies the possibility of an extraordinary windfall. That's part of what makes this story so powerful. It forces us to reconsider how we look at the ordinary. What else in life could be hiding immense value right in front of us, overlooked simply because it seems too common? The 2012 dime error reminds us that sometimes the most valuable treasures are the ones we take for granted. So, as you sit there, maybe with some coins jangling in your pocket or tucked away in a drawer at home, ask yourself, could one of them be the next hidden gem? Could a dime sitting unnoticed on your dresser be worth $92,000? The answer is not as far-fetched as it sounds. Collectors have proven time and again that extraordinary coins turn up in the most ordinary places. The only difference is whether someone takes the time to look closely enough to see what's truly there. The lesson here is clear: don't underestimate the small things. That 2012 dime error is proof that greatness can come in the most unexpected forms. It's more than just a coin. It's a reminder of history, chance, and the thrill of discovery. And who knows? The next time you sort through your change, you might just be holding on to your very own $33,000 to $92,000 treasure without even realizing it.